Hey guys, it's Marshall Mathers IV here, back to you today with another video. And in today's video, this will be a part 2 video to my message to black women. And in this video, I want to start out by saying that I honestly do think that I was a complete idiot and moron and just so very stupid to ever even be attracted to black women in the first place many years ago, starting in 2012 when I was 15 years old. And the reason why I think that of myself is because it's not like I even grew up in an area with black women. I mean, if I would have, then it would have actually been understandable why I would even have an attraction to them and why I would lust after them like fucking crazy. But because I don't live in an area with them, and I never did, and I never grew up in a city where there was any black women at all whatsoever, and so I'm not even used to them. And anytime I see them out in public, when I'm like inside a vehicle or inside a grocery store, like if I see them on a sidewalk or walking in a parking lot or inside a store or wherever, I just, honest to God, feel really uncomfortable and really uneasy, nervous, and I just don't feel right at all inside. And in my opinion, I think that's understandable because, again, I'm not used to them at all. I don't know them that well personally, and I've never really known a black woman on a very deep and personal level in real life, in person, in reality. A black woman that I would have possibly or maybe have became friends with when I was a little kid or a teenager at the very latest in my life. I didn't have that privilege. I did not ever have that chance or opportunity to fulfill or experience a desire of mine like that. Because again, I did not ever get to grow up in a city where there was even any black women at all to begin with. So realistically, there was never any chance of me ever getting with a black woman. And that's why I think that I am just a flat out idiot and a stupid fucking moron, because sometimes I can't help but think to myself, why the fuck would I even ever be attracted to and lust after any group of women that I did not even get to grow up around and therefore get used to over a period of time in my life, and also have experienced since I was a child up into my teenage years, and then up until this very point in time, and obviously, and of course, so on and so forth. But I did not have that privilege. I did not have that opportunity, chance, or experience, which did cause me to have a lot of depression, suicidal thoughts, stress, worry, anger, hatred, jealousy, and envy, especially when it comes to white guys who were born and raised in America, who, unlike me, were privileged and spoiled enough of growing up around black women. And they, of course, would have had a way better chance and opportunity of actually being able to possibly date one, or maybe even marry one for that matter. But not me. I would have never had a chance and opportunity like that unless I would have been raised in a big city where the majority, if not all or most, at least, like, I don't even buy for a second that most black people don't oftentimes, when it comes to living in first world countries like America or the UK, that they don't oftentimes choose to live in big cities. I'm not saying that all black people in America do that. Obviously, I know that's not true. I'm not that stupid. But at the same time, I can clearly and obviously see and tell that where black people live predominantly are in big cities in America, because that's just what they fucking choose. That's just always the place they always want to live, that they always desire, that they always long to live, yearn to live, crave to live, wish to live. And they're able to actually fucking achieve that and fulfill that desire, wishing, or craving of theirs. And there's nothing I can do about it. Obviously, I can't prevent someone from living in a certain place or area that they want to live. I could never do that to anyone, for that matter. And that would be stupid if I even tried, because it wouldn't even happen. And obviously, I'm not going to pretend and act like it doesn't piss me the fuck off and doesn't make me extremely jealous, envious, angry, and hateful towards them at the same time. Even though, yes, I can definitely admit with all my heart that I am attracted to and lust after inner city black women, and that could not be more obvious and clear here. But at the same exact time, I am angry at them, hate them, jealous and envious of them, and in my opinion, I feel like I have all the right and reason to. I feel that I am justified in doing so. Because the way I see it, in my point of view, is that many black women in America, just like black men, are very spoiled, privileged, and just lucky, blessed, and fortunate in a lot of ways. Not every way, but in a lot of ways that it seems like almost none of them ever really will acknowledge or admit or fess up to. But I mean, honestly, I really do feel like and think that I am really dumb for ever being attracted to and lusting after black women, knowing very well that I was not and would never have been able to achieve and fulfill that extreme, severe longing, yearning, desire of mine. And as I got older, it only was more painful for me to realize that and acknowledge that and admit that and recognize that obvious truth and fact that I will probably never be able to fulfill that hope and dream of mine. And it's too late by this point anyways, because I mean, what black woman anywhere in the world for that matter would ever bother to give a guy, specifically a white guy, who a lot of black women are already terrified, scared, and afraid of, and they have all the reason to be. But what black woman anywhere in the world would want to give a white guy like me the time of day to even try to talk to them or be their friend or interact with them? I don't think any would. I think they would run as fast as they could, run in the opposite direction. But I mean, I can't even say I blame or judge them, and I don't, because I am definitely not one who deserves to be with or have a black woman. Any, for that matter. And on top of that, I'm not worthy enough to have a black woman. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to like simp for any of you black women or anything like that. I'm just speaking on behalf of how I honestly feel deep down inside, that I do not deserve to be with a black woman anywhere in the world, nor am I worthy enough to be with any black woman anywhere in the world, especially when it comes to black women in America who by far are the most that I have attacked and bashed in my YouTube videos and especially community posts. And the only reason why I've not really ever bashed or attacked black women from like the UK, when there are a lot of them there too, is because I wasn't born in the UK, I wasn't raised there, I've never been there. And so obviously when it comes to other countries that I was not born in, raised in, or even ever visited, I'm not going to really have that much of a problem or issue with those other countries because they're not really a part of my life like America is, being the country that I was born and raised in. And I also want to say in this video something that, you know, when I was a teenager and when I had a really unhealthy obsession and addiction and fixation towards black women, specifically inner city black women or black women from the ghetto who are really bad and bougie and ratchet and raunchy and loud and whatnot, even when I was like that in that specific time period in my life, I would pretty much want to learn as much as I possibly could, even though I didn't even, again, grow up in an area with any of them. I didn't actually experience any black women like that growing up in real life, in person, in reality. And so the only other option I had was just trying to, I guess in a sort of weird way, study them from a very far away distance, which is exactly what I did. And I would look up a lot of videos on YouTube of black women getting into fights, and you know, and the fights that they would be getting into would be with other black women. And over the years I would even watch stuff like that more as I got older and even into my early 20s, and some black girls that I would even follow on Instagram who would be like pretty ghetto themselves would upload a lot of videos to their Instagram accounts or to their spam accounts of black women from the hood getting into fights. And I will say this, and I'm being truthful when I say this, that whenever I watched those videos, it did make me sad. And it did make me feel really bad for those black women, the ones who got their ass beat. When I would see black inner city women fight really violently with other inner city black women, and the one who would pretty much lose the fight would be on the ground, either sitting down or laying down and either crying, or sometimes in some videos they would be like starting to cry, but then they would stop themselves because they would just think, no, I'm a tough bitch, I'm a hood bitch, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna look weak, I'm gonna be tough, I'm gonna look strong, I'm gonna be strong because that's who I am. I'm not a wuss, I'm not a wimp, I'm not sensitive or fragile or delicate or whatever. And honestly, it is painful to watch, because it makes me even think to myself that even when it comes to black women towards other black women, that they don't love, care about, respect, appreciate, or value one another. They don't look out for one another. They're not watching out for one another. And same with those girls' brothers. Like, I can't help but wonder to myself, where the fuck are their brothers? And this is even coming from a guy who can admit that I do have a lot of hatred, anger, and jealousy and envy for black women, but at the same time, I'm attracted and lustful towards them. And in some specific cases, I do definitely feel bad and sorry for them. And a lot of stuff I've seen about them over the years does make me really sad. Also, like, I've seen videos over the years of when a black man tries to ask out or hit on a black girl. And like almost any time, not always of course, but sometimes when a black guy will try to ask out or hit on a black girl and she refuses him or rejects him or whatever, he will do an act of like physical violence towards her. Hit her in the head with a skateboard, trip her, throw her in a garbage dump. I've seen video clips of a group of black guys inside like a gas station or grocery store stuffing a black girl inside like one of those ice cream coolers that have like ice cream bars and popsicle bars inside those coolers. And all that shit is just painful to watch, and it makes me feel like sometimes there is a part of me inside that's like, if only I was there to actually do something to help out that black girl, because if I were there, I definitely would have tried to do something. Even if those black guys would have tried to beat me up, stab me, shoot me, or whatever, I would have still risked that. Because I don't think that's ever okay to do an act of violence towards any women of any race, because women are weaker than men. And men are supposed to be the protectors and defenders. So when they physically hurt women, that's the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do. And it's just very twisted, upside down and backwards, the fact that they even do shit like that. I mean, honestly, it's disgusting behavior, and it's crazy that it's real though, and that it exists. And I mean, the thing also is that black men, they will rape their own women, beat their own women, drug their own women, kill their own women even sometimes. And it's like, wow, black men really do seem to care about, respect, love, appreciate, and value their black women, and they definitely seem to want to look out for them and watch out for them. Like, obviously I'm being sarcastic because they don't. I'm not saying that all black men are like this, or even most, because they definitely are not. But there's enough to the point where it's getting attention, and even many black women are catching on to this. But I feel at the same time that black women see this stuff and then they think in their minds that, oh, it's all black men, or it's most black men. Like, no, that's not fair. That's not fair to say something like that, because you probably don't even know most black men as a black woman, or especially all black men. So you can't make an accusation like that. That's not fair. And I definitely know for a fact that not all or even most black men are like that. It's just some. But what's also pretty fucked up about it is those some black men who physically abuse, attack, and molest and harass their own black women, it makes good black men look bad. And I mean, if I were a black man myself, I would fucking hate that. If I were a black man and I were made to look bad because of what a small portion or amount of other black guys were doing themselves, I would not want to be made look bad. I'd hate that. But unfortunately, black men are made to look bad because of the very few or some black men who do really violent things towards their own women, which is, again, really fucked up. And the fucked up thing also is that black women aren't very good to even other black women. They don't have each other's backs. They don't watch out for each other. They don't look out for each other. They don't care about, respect, love, appreciate, or value one another. I mean, black women towards other black women, especially when it comes to black women from the hood, they even beat other black women. Or when they see a black woman getting beat by a black guy, they'll laugh and they'll think it's hilarious, instead of trying to put themselves in that black woman's shoes or position who's getting physically attacked by a black guy. They'll just laugh at it and think it's just the most funniest thing ever. So the black community isn't a very good one. And I know even a lot of black people would agree with that, or agree with me on that. But, I mean, I can only wish that I would have been raised in a big city where there would have even been black people, to where I could have either lived in a mixed neighborhood, which I wish I could have at least lived in a mixed neighborhood, and either have gone to a predominantly black school or at least a mixed one, to where there would have even at least been some black women, black men, and other races of people instead of just only white or predominantly white, like what I personally experienced growing up, because I grew up in a rural area, but I went to many different schools in a small, predominantly white city. So it doesn't surprise me that I didn't really experience diversity growing up. It should come as no shock or surprise to anyone else. And, you know, that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. But yeah, I mean, even if I were still like I was when I was a teenager, and even up until the age of 22 years old, even then, in those years of my life, from 15 to 22 years old, I still had a very unhealthy obsession, addiction, and fixation towards black people in general, black women and men, but I would definitely say black women more so. And I definitely, unfortunately, but I will admit, and I will be honest about it, because I'm definitely not going to pretend and act like I didn't do this and that I'm still not doing it, but I fetishized black women, and I am still doing so up until this very point in time. But to be fair, and in my defense, it really doesn't surprise me that I ever fetishized black women. Because, I mean, what does the mainstream media do when it comes to movies, TV shows, rap music videos, and just rap music in general, and social media like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter? They fetishize black women. They do. And that's a very obvious fact here. And of course, the only black women that I've really actually seen a lot of over the years were black women in movies, in TV shows, on social media, or in YouTube videos. Like YouTube videos that were like taken from World Star Hip Hop or whatever, that has a lot of videos of black men getting into fights with other black men, or black women getting into fights with other black women, and they get re-uploaded to YouTube. And that's the only really experience of black people or black women that I ever really had in my life. And it's sad, but that's the truth about me when it comes to me personally. And I mean, it's pretty messed up that I even do fetishize black women. I'm not even saying that it's a good thing. And I'm not even trying to defend myself because I think that it was good that I did that, or right that I did that. I'm just saying that, in my defense, and to be fair, it's understandable as to why I fetishize black women and still do so to this very day, to this very point in time. And you know what's also kind of interesting is the fact that, I mean, I'm obviously not the only white guy who does fetishize black women. And it's not like I just fetishize any black women in general. I fetishize the ones who put their bodies out there, who are practically porn stars on social media, who just pretty much sell their bodies. and who have no dignity, no morals, who have no traditional values or beliefs, who are just sluts, hoes, bitches, skanks, and thoughts. Those are the black women that I fetishize, and that shouldn't be that big of a deal because they're fetishizing themselves by just pretty much selling their bodies on their social media accounts. And they have OnlyFans accounts, and they have Cash Apps and all this other shit that a bunch of simps just give them money for because they look so good. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me one bit that black women, in my opinion at least, and from what I see and understand, are probably the most women who act the most slutty, hoish, whorish, and act like the most bitches, skanks, or thoughts. Because, I mean, first of all, most of them are born and raised in big cities, which don't worship God. There's no God in big cities. There's no there's almost no religious people. There are some, very few, but big cities in general are very secular, very worldly, and very fleshly, that just have no morals, no dignity. Most of the people are stupid, insane, crazy, psychopathic, unhinged, liberal, left-wing nut jobs, and just flat-out idiots. And most people in cities, whether they're women or men, are extremely promiscuous too. That's another obvious truth and fact about people who are born and raised in big cities, especially big cities. But even in small cities, they're like that. Or at least medium-sized ones, but definitely in most of all big cities. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say in today's video. Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.